Dr. Roto on Bettor Sports Network.
Hey there, everybody, it's Dr. Roto. Get out the insurance cards, get out the copay. The office is open, my friends. It is On Call with Dr. Roto here at the Bettor Sports Network. A little bit earlier than normal. Nothing wrong with that. Get to spend a little time with Mrs. Roto later. Of course, she's usually sleeping when I'm doing my show. But we are talking all things Week 8. We're breaking down the games. I've got my man Jeff Cadillac. Is that not like the coolest name in all of, sports betting? And then I've got my man Odell Blocker, the great Swami, talking some DFS with me in hour number 2. And of course, I'll be breaking down the games visionary style, answering your questions, doing some prop betting, doing some DFS for sure. And of course, your seasonal leagues, and just talking about, Week 8 is like the beginning of the second half of the year of fantasy football, right? You got those first 7 games under your belt. Hopefully you're no worse than 3 and 4. If you are a little worse, we got to figure that out quickly, right? We can live with 2 and 5, 1 and 6, and 0 and 7. I can't. But we got to get you through the hump right now. And we got to be looking for players who are on the cusp of being good, that maybe need one injury. So somebody tweeted me before. I'll have to find it. Give me a moment, because I thought it was a really interesting tweet. They were asking me my opinion about a player. And one moment, please. Please hold. Let's see. I'll find it. It was somebody was offering this really crappy deal. And I want to talk about it because I think it was important. Yeah, okay. Some guy named Merce says, Dr. Roto, PPR, received an offer from Kyren Williams for either Najee Harris or Eno Benjamin. Should I trade him? And for which one? I'm not trading Kyren for Eno Benjamin. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it at all. Would I do it for Najee? Maybe. I'm going to write him back. Maybe for Najee. And here's why this is important. And I want to talk about this. We're coming to the second half of the season. Things changed. Things that we thought that we knew, we don't know anymore. Who knew Kyren Williams 3 weeks ago? Maybe guys like me who follow college football that knew this guy was a good player at Notre Dame. And now all of a sudden, nobody's heard of him, but we know this guy's coming pretty soon. Will it be this week? I don't know. Could it be next week? Maybe. It's coming. And then all of a sudden, by week 10, this guy might be winning people leagues, kind of like Rashad Penny did last year. So we've got to be on these guys now. Because if we're not on them, and if somebody makes a trade for us because they know better, we'll all of a sudden be like, oh, I had that guy. And that trade cost me a championship. And I don't want you making bad trades at this point. This is the time of year this is winning time, not getting fleeced time. I don't want you getting fleeced. I want you making good deals. All right, what's up, Spy? Spy want to know if you had any running backs or you're stashing high stakes like Snoop, Connor, and Justice Hill are available. Yes, I would put Snoop, but only if I was dropping crap. Snoop is okay. You guys know my feelings on Snoop Connor. I'm fine with him. What's the pathway for his success? Is he Travis Etienne? No. If Travis Etienne should get a high ankle sprain on Sunday, what is Snoop Connor's upside? He's going to split time with JaMychal Hasty. JaMychal Hasty is more fluid as a receiver. He's done it in the league before. Snoop Connor might be the goal line back. He might be the Donta Foreman type of guy. Is that worth a ton? No. Would I pick him up? Sure. Would I drop, anybody that I would use for him? No. But if you're desperate and you're in a high stakes league and there's nothing out there, because we've all been in those leagues where Richie James is like the best player out there, that's not good. It's not good. So we're grasping at straws. So I have to tell you this Kadarius Toney story. I'm in this the Hall of Fantasy League, and a bunch of experts in this league. and I had Kadarius Toney. And I have to see if I got him back. I don't know if I did. But I cut Kadarius Toney the other day. I know, I'm like the biggest idiot on planet Earth. I have him in like 3 leagues, and I cut him in a 4th, and I can only pray that I got him back. I don't think I did. Yeah, I won't know yet. Oh, yeah, it's claimed by another person. I know. I cut Toney to pick up Joshua Palmer. And I said to myself, I think Mike Williams is going to be out for a few more weeks. Let me get Palmer now. Toney, what I was worried about was the Giants weren't going to trade him. And sure enough, the next day they trade him. Not happy. That's just bad luck. Held this guy for 7 weeks. So let me tell you something about Kadarius Toney. He will miraculously be on the field next week. The hamstring injuries will be gone. Don't kid yourself. His hamstrings are fine. Fine. I'm fully convinced this guy could beat anybody in a sprint right now. Just didn't want to play. Giants didn't want to play him. He didn't want to play. They had him inactive. But it was better to do it this way than to make it look like he was a malcontent. Because if you make him look like a malcontent, you're not going to get any trade value for him. Nobody wants a guy who's toxic. So you say that he's got, hamstring issues. He kind of runs laboriously in training camp. He's not going to play this week. All of a sudden, he's looking pretty good next week when Patrick Mahomes throwing the football. Now, if you have Juju, are you worried about Kadarius Toney? Probably not. Kadarius Toney doesn't know the playbook. Kadarius Toney is just happy not to be in New York playing with Danny Dimes. So could we be looking at a week 11 for Kadarius Toney being good? Maybe. More than likely, though, the Chiefs did something that was pretty brilliant moving forward. Because I don't think they're winning Super Bowls with Juju and MVS. But maybe you are with Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore. So you've just given yourself foundation pieces for 2023 and beyond. But I don't think I'm panicking if I have Juju right now. I think Juju's just fine. Am I panicking if I have Valdez-Scantling? Maybe a little bit. Maybe a little bit. But not much. I just don't think much of Valdez-Scantling to begin with. I mean, he's as good now as he's ever been. All right, we're in week 8. Let's get it done. Let's start talking about the games. Let's start breaking it down. And let's kick it off with the game that we saw last night. The Ravens and the Buccaneers. So if I'm the Buccaneers, I need to be questioning every single thing I know about what I'm doing. Because it's 10-0 at halftime, and you let up 24 points in the second half. What do you think you're winning? You think you're winning a Super Bowl with that kind of pathetic defense? Now, maybe they make the playoffs considering that division's pretty darn weak. I mean, when the Falcons are 3-4, that tells you everything you need to know. And the Panthers, the Saints, I've been waiting for them to be better. But man, Lamar Jackson, 27 for 38, 238 yards, 2 touchdowns. Things that I want to talk about, though. Isaiah Likely. This is a name that you're going to have to get to know. If you don't know it now, you're going to need to know it. Guy went 6 for 77 with a touchdown. He is the real deal. He is the real deal. Why we don't really know him very well is because we know Mark Andrews, right? But Mark Andrews was 3 for 33. Now, I'm telling you, 2 tight ends can exist in this offense. Hopefully you didn't play Rashad Bateman. I took Rashad Bateman out of every single lineup of mine yesterday. I should have had Duvernay in a lineup. I didn't. I regret that. Still worried about Lamar Jackson. Don't like the fact that he runs back about 20 yards before he does anything. For the Buccaneers, Tom Brady, 26 for 44, 325 yards and 1 touchdown, sacked 3 times. Do you know they had 15 carries for 44 rushing yards? What are you winning? Tell me what you're winning in the NFL when you rush for 44 yards. Nothing. Now, Mike Evans was 6 for 123. Godwin was 6 for 75. Fournette was 3 for 34. The passing game was, okay. But if you can't run the football and you can't stop the run, if you can't do those two things, if you can't run and you can't stop the run, what are you winning in the NFL? You're not. All right. Giants and Seahawks. Who am I playing in this game? First of all, I do not believe that DK Metcalf is going to play. I think Dr. Jesse Morris pretty much told me he wasn't going to play on Tuesday. I feel strongly that he's not going to play. Now, could I be surprised? Absolutely. Is it possible he gets out there? Sure. Do I think it's a smart thing? No. Do I think they could beat the Giants without DK Metcalf? Going to be hard, but possible. Am I playing Geno Smith? Maybe. Maybe. I'm not running into playing Geno Smith. Trying to get some action here. Let me see what the numbers are. Give me 1 second. Geno Smith. So passing yards. Let's see. Geno Smith, about 228 passing yards, 230 at PointsBet, 230 and a half. I mean, what does that tell you? When you're looking at about 230 yards passing from Geno Smith, Vegas doesn't like him. Danny Dimes is at 198, somewhere hovering between 198 and a half on FanDuel, 196 and a half on DraftKings, 200 on PointsBet. It's a low-scoring game. This is a low-scoring game. You don't want a lot of pieces in this game. It's not good. Now, rushing yards, I think, is going to change things here. So the rush yards, we've got, one moment, please. Please hold. Thank you for holding. All right, where's my, come on. It's not easy to find things. I want them to be the tip of my finger here. All right, Saquon Barkley at ranging from 81 to 85 yards. Kenneth Walker about 83 to 85 yards. There's your answer to your question. Vegas thinks this is running, not too much passing. So do I. All right, Spy asks, when will Tampa Bay allow White to have a bigger part of the offense? Well, when they're out of playoff contention, when Leonard Fournette becomes a malcontent, because if they're not in playoff contention, trust me, that guy's going to have an injury. Guaranteed. If this team is 3-7 with no chance of making the playoffs, let me tell you something about Lenny. Lenny's going to be injured. This is a fact. He's got the Kadarius Toney injury risk. This is the I want out. As long as they're competitive, Fournette plays. So, Spy, we got to hold on to White, because if Fournette doesn't get a real injury, he will get a fake one soon. All right, Dave Pollan says, Doc, with Zeke out, Tony Pollard over 73.5 rushing yards. Yes. I have Pollard at easily over 100 all-purpose yards this weekend. So let's see here. Pollard, one moment. Why? I'm trying. Oh, Pollard. Okay. 79.5 is on FanDuel and 80 is on PointsBet, just on rushing. So 73.5 feels pretty safe on that one, right? So just so you know, by the way, Vegas is so clever. I've been playing some prop bets, NBA prop bets recently. I've been winning them like in literally the last minute of the fourth quarter. Okay? I already had a heart attack 5 years ago. I don't need more of this NBA. Do I need to know whether this guy's at 21.5 points when I need 22? I mean, come on. You're killing me. All right. So Philly Max says, hey, Doc, I'm trying to put a lineup together this week. I have Pickens in my wide receiver 2 and Dontrell in my flex. These guys are available. Slayton, Peoples-Jones, Dobbs, Mooney, London, McKenzie, Van Jefferson, Tunyon, Keontae Ingram, and McKissick. Would you add any or replace those two guys? I would keep Pickens. I have a bad matchup, but I'd keep him. Yes, I'd get rid of Dontrell Hilliard. I like Dobbs a little bit. I've got to think that he's going to be the only guy in town. Drake London couldn't be worse. Van Jefferson won't get a ton. Mooney's look good. He just has a terrible matchup against Trayvon Diggs. So I would say, yes, I would do London over Hilliard. And if you really want to live on the edge, Slayton is the Giants' new wide receiver with Wan'Dale Robinson. So I think either of those guys are better there. All right, Dave Pollen says, I just bet $1,000 on the Broncos team total over 19.5. Keep the faith. I think Janger Russell will be back. The offense will play very well. They're due. Broncos country. Let's ride. Yeah. It's not like Jacksonville can't let up 20 points. I mean, Russ hasn't been no, he's been terrible. I'm not gonna lie. He's been terrible. But I think this could happen. I like that. I like where Dave's going with it. You know what, Dave? Good luck. I wish you the best. Let's ride. And I'll be rooting for 20 points for the Broncos. Taking a quick timeout. We'll be back right after this, breaking down more Broncos Jaguars right after this.
Nando and Friends, presented by Mayo Media on Bettor Sports Network.
Matt Ryan was the most added quarterback in CBS Sports League this week.
I don't know why.
That's weird. Like Matt Ryan against Tennessee, that's kind of like a strange. Everybody add him, benched, done, injured. But they said Frank Reich's like, yo, it's going to be Sam Erlinger either way. Like Ryan's benched.
And normally I would like to come on here and say, hey, Frank Reich, why don't you look in the mirror and look at your performance?
Yeah.
Guess what? Matt Ryan is not playing well. Matt Ryan should not be a starting quarterback in the NFL right now. See, here's the thing, right? When these old quarterbacks go to Indianapolis, they're sold on, we got this great offensive line. No, you have a great offensive lineman in Nelson.
Right, Quentin Nelson.
The rest of those dudes stay. And now you put somebody my age back there, and you look at Matt Ryan, and all he's doing is watching the pass rush, trying not to get hit, and then throwing the football to wherever he can.
Yeah.
He leads the league in interceptions with 9. So Reich is probably thinking, if we can stop turning the ball over, maybe we can have something here. Now, the kid Ellinger, he's been a Heisman candidate. He's been a guy that's been a blue chip quarterback. So now they want to give him a shot to see if he could be the guy, or do they need to go draft a quarterback? So I think it's the right move to bench Matt Ryan at this point. Matt Ryan is washed up. Matt Ryan's been washed up for a couple years now.
Yeah.
And you keep saying to your fan base, oh, this veteran quarterback going to come in and save us. We almost was fooled again this year. There's a lot going on in Indianapolis. And O-line is problematic. That I don't think they're schemed well with the head coach. Matt Ryan throwing interceptions. The defense can't stop the run. They're on the field a lot and they don't go nowhere. They have these big, long drives and they miss a field goal. It's just a bad brand of football. It's time to bring in the kid.
On call with Dr. Roto.
What's up? All right. All right. Look at that. All right. Welcome back. So let's see. Got some people talking in there. Dave Pollen again. I'll bet $1,000 on Tony Pollard all-purpose yards if Zeke is ruled out. Interesting, because when he's ruled out, the odds are going to get worse. But I'm with you. Let's not spend that G unless we know for sure that Zeke is out. But I think Zeke is going to be out this week and next week. I do, because Dallas is making the playoffs. Work and Grind says, I have a terrible wide receiver situation. I have Sutton and Dobbs right now, and I don't feel good about Dobbs. Let's see. I could start DPJ or Ed London, maybe. Alec Pierce, no. Reynolds, maybe. Van Jefferson, no. Any interest in dropping Dobbs to start one of these? Probably not, because look, there's so many injuries for the Packers. Isn't Dobbs their de facto number one? Now, I know it's a mess. I get it's a mess. I really like Drake London. I do, but do you trust, seriously, I ask this question, do you trust Arthur Smith to let Marcus Mariota throw the football? I don't trust him. I mean, Mariota should be a lock for 220 yards every week. This guy's like, his prop bet is like 170 or 180 or something disgusting like that. What does that tell you? It's like Vegas doesn't even believe he's going to throw the football. Yeah, exactly. London throws as much as Mariota. I know work and grind. That's exactly my point. Now, I would start Josh Reynolds. I'm interested in him, especially if Hawkinson or Amon-Ra St. Brown are out. If either of those guys are out, you get Reynolds in. But I think you're going to see Swift. I think you're going to see St. Brown. I think you're going to see Hawkinson. When that happens, Reynolds is getting like 2 or 3 touches. Nothing. The Elite says trade away Henderson and Kadarius Toney for Keenan Allen. Interesting. I made a trade this week. I traded Gus Edwards, AJ Dillon, and who is it? Oh, Cortland Sutton. And I did it for Keenan Allen, Dalton Schultz, and some guy I can't remember anymore. And why did I do that? For Keenan Allen, right? Because everybody's forgotten how good Keenan Allen is. Here's what I know about Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen's a star. We haven't seen him in weeks because of an injury. Doesn't mean he's not a good player. He's a great player. So, yeah, I kind of like that. If you can get that deal, I would do that. All right. Angel Cruz says, hey, Doc, love the show. Is it time to snag Rachaad White and or Gus and Robinson worth holding on to? Angel, dude, how do you not have Rachaad White? You know he's my guy. You know he's my guy. Would I hold on to Gus? Yes. Would I hold on to Robinson? Have to see him. I don't think he's all the way back. I think Dr. Jesse Morse was really smart on Tuesday night, where he told us in the beginning part of the season that it was not overworked and overused. So he was actually a little faster in the beginning of the season. And now the more times he has to run and the more hits he's taking, it's slowed him down a little bit. So I'd be very careful there. So I do like Rachaad White. Dave says that's a sure trade. I know, dude. It was a great trade. I'm giving up Gus. I'm giving up Dillon. I'm giving up Sutton. I'm getting Allen and Schultz. And people aren't thinking. You don't think Dalton Schultz is going to get better now that Dak is back? Come on. It's not my first day. All right. Dave also said Jeff Cadillac called a possible Carolina upset. We'll be having Jeff on next segment. Looking forward to that one. Jeff tweeted me the other day. He's like, Bailey Zappi is going to win this game. And he did. On point. Look, I've got this theory about gambling. You want to hear my theory about gambling? And if you don't, I'm going to tell it to you anyway. I don't need somebody giving me 47 picks. Give me 2 picks and let them both be right, and you're my hero. Giving me 47 and being right on half of them, you're the same as everybody knucklehead out there with 51%. You know what I'm saying? I want somebody who is selective, who's giving me 2 hits, and the hits both win. And then I'm rich and I feel great. I'm going back to that guy again. That's what I want. Don't be all over the place. Don't give me a million bets. Doesn't help anybody. You know what I'm saying? But I know Jeff likes Zappi. That part I don't agree with. But I'll tell you this. Bill Belichick is pissing me off. In college, you can win when you have the double quarterback. You got the running quarterback, the passing quarterback. I mean, Urban Meyer did it. How many years with Tim Tebow and Chris Leak? You could do that in college. Tell me the last time in the pros that you remember that 2 quarterbacks actually got things done. I can't remember that. Doesn't work. I don't care if your name is Bill Belichick. That's right, Dave. Best restaurants have smaller menus. Do what you do well. A friend of mine, this is a true story. A friend of mine opened a restaurant in Greenwich Village. When he opened his restaurant, he literally had 10 things on his menu. Each one of those things was more delicious than the next, right? It was literally delectable. It's a beautiful Italian restaurant. He only took cash and he did it the right way. Went back to his restaurant like 18 months later. It had like a laundry list of things and it was a mess. And then when I saw him, like, oh, it's great. It wasn't great. It was great at the beginning when he kept the menu tight. All right, let's see. Work and Grind says 14-team PPR. I have Allen, McLaurin, Boyd, Claypool, Rondale, Moore. I'm 2-5. There's a reason you're 2-5. Would you drop someone for Tony? Yeah, it's called Rondale Moore right now. Babish. Would I drop Claypool? No, even though I want to. I mean, because I think what happens is the pecking order there, honestly, Pickens 1, Freiermuth, Deontay Johnson, Najee Harris, and Claypool's 5. So I'm not loving that there. I think you could probably get rid of Claypool and Rondale for Tony and Van Jefferson, and I'd feel pretty good about that. I would. I'd feel pretty good about that. All right, Broncos and Jaguars. And by the way, we'll have Jeff Cadillac joining us at about 7:30. Excited about talking to him. But I'll tell you this, Broncos and Jaguars, who do I want in this game? Let's talk about Travis Etienne. Do we like Travis Etienne? We do. We like Travis Etienne a lot. Guy's fast. He's making a lot of mistakes, though. He's not keeping his eye on the football. When the football is getting thrown to him, there's a lot of drops. There's a lot of fumbles. It's called ball protection. Make sure you see the ball into your hands. Make sure you hold it in your hands. Otherwise, you're not going to last long in this league. Do I love Trevor Lawrence? No. Let me tell you something about Trevor Lawrence. I want you to look back at last week's game. The dude gets in the red zone. I kid you not. You watch this on NFL Rewind. Why is every pass that he's throwing his wide receivers in the red zone about 20 feet over their heads? 20 feet over their heads. Ridiculous. Zay Jones, meh. Patrick Surtain, arguably best cover corner in the league. If the Broncos defense wasn't good, they would be the worst team in the league because that offense has been tragic. So the only Jaguar I want to play with any confidence this week, Etienne. For the Broncos, Sutton, yes. Jerry Jeudy, yes. There's a rumor that Jerry Jeudy wants the Giants want him. I'd be cool with that. I'd be very cool with that. All right, Panthers, Falcons. There's some gems in this game, guys. There's some gems in this game. Firstly, P.J. Walker, under the radar. He dissects what the Falcons like to throw coverage-wise. He was good last week. I like DJ Moore this week. I like Donta Foreman this week. I will play DJ Moore and Donta Foreman in DFS. I will do prop bets, especially DJ Moore over. And I think PJ Walker over could happen as well. For the Falcons, I'm just worried. I think you're going to see Tyler Algier being over. I do. I think you'll see Tyler Algier being over. I think Drake London and Pitts should both be overs, but I don't trust it. So, I mean, if you literally like living on the edge, I think you could go over probably with London. Pitts, I want to say yes, but man, they threw him the ball on the 1 yard line and he couldn't find the end zone last week. I mean, come on. Now, true, it wasn't a great pass by Marcus Mariota, but let's do better than that, you bum. It's on the 1 yard line. You're supposed to be this unicorn. Unicorn your way in for a touchdown. Unreal. Really bad. Moore, yes. Foreman, yes. Algier, yes. London, Pitts, Mariota. If you really want to live, and you just want to throw caution in the wind, and you've got money to light on fire, I'll do the Mariota over on the prop. Because when that prop is like at 160 yards or so, shouldn't he be going over? You got to think he's going over. All right, I think I'm going over. I need a break. When I come back, I got Jeff Cadillac breaking down the games. You want to win some bets? Jeff's our guy to do it. We'll be back right after this.
Front Yard Fantasy, weekday mornings at 7 Eastern on Bettor Sports Network.
There was a tweet about the refs that had me kind of cracking up the other day because somebody was like, we have the technology to track the ball down to a centimeter and figure out, what speed these guys are running on the field. Yet somehow we still mark the ball by
That's my favorite.
a 60-year-old dude eyeballing it, and then we run over with literal chains and measure it. It's like, you think we can probably get that figured out.
The least precise way to measure something, and then immediately following that up with a super precise way of measuring something.
Yeah, it's like we have
what I love. Like if you're a millimeter short of that chain that they bring out there, that they ran out it as best they could in a straight line. But if you first they just go here, and then they grab the chains and they run in the straightest line possible. But then if you are 1 millimeter short with that football, doesn't count. Sorry. Couldn't have been human error. You're just short.
That's exactly. And, they bring out the index card or whatever. Meanwhile, they have satellites in space tracking how fast Brandon Ayuk ran on an end around. But we can't,
and I can see that number live while he's doing it. Like I can see every player's speed on the screen live.
I love that. It's and not to mention that dude's trying to make the spot and the player always tosses the ball right into his face. Right? He's coming over to spot it, and it's every other time the player just here you go. Here's another thing to juggle.
On call with Dr. Roto.
If the Giants don't win another game this year, A, I'll be shocked. But B, I'll still think that they're better than they were with Joe Judge. Much better. Because I think Brian Dable's got a lot out of this team already. And I'm seeing what this team could be. See, that's the problem with owners and general managers. I see Nathaniel Hackett and I see a guy who can't get it done. I see Matt Rule and see a guy who never should have been hired. Disaster right away. Sometimes a good coordinator in the NFL is better. I don't even say sometimes. Most of the time, a good coordinator in the NFL is better than a college coach because the NFL coordinators, they know the system. They've been there. They've played. They've been around it. For the life of me, I don't know why Eric Bieniemy hasn't gotten a job yet. Deuce Staley is going to get a job. Somebody's going to hire that dude. When you've been around the game, you understand it. These college guys come, they don't know it.
Join the show with one touch of a button. It's Sports Talk 3.0 on Better Sports Network. On call with Dr. Roto.
All right, we are back. It is On Call with Dr. Roto on the Better Sports Network, and I'm here with my friend, the man who has the best name, I think, in all of sports gambling. I'm telling you they're not. His name is Jeff Cadillac, and you can find him on Twitter, Jeff Cadillac1. What's going on, Jeff? How you doing?
I'm doing well. How about yourself, Dr. Roto?
I'm just living the dream, my friend. Happy this week.
Well, that's good. Share some of that with me, will you?
Yeah, I'll tell you. All right, let's get to some games. Now, I mentioned I don't need somebody coming on here and give me 400 games. I want your best bet of the week. Let's hit it right here. Don't play around. Who's the winner?
Okay. This is the game that I'm really high on, and I'll definitely give you some reasons why. I love me some San Francisco at the Rams. San Francisco all week has been -2 at the Rams. I love San Francisco in this one. I think you're going to see a lot of Christian McCaffrey in this game. He's been able to read the playbook. And a few weeks ago, he did play against the Rams. So he knows he's probably sharing his secrets with the San Francisco 49ers. Not that they need any really inside information from him, because San Francisco is definitely on a roll against the Rams. I mean, last 7 games against the Rams, San Francisco 7-0 straight up, 6-1 against the spread. I'd say that's pretty good, And it's on the other side of that coin, you got a Los Angeles Rams team that is not the same as last year. I've been saying this. I mean, you and I, we spoke on that Monday night game. We spoke before it. You would like the Rams, and I gave you about 1,000.
No, I like the 49ers. Pilar liked the Rams. Easy.
Oh, okay. My mistake. I'm sorry. I don't want to misquote anybody. But I definitely liked San Francisco in that game, and I gave about 1,000 reasons why. And, now Jimmy G has the running back that he can basically just count on. I mean, Christian McCaffrey is one of those go-to guys. I've never seen him in a situation really not respond. This is going to be a perfect situation for him. He's on a team that can definitely use him and not have to use him 40 times a game, because this team has other weapons, and it takes a lot of pressure off Garoppolo as well.
But Jeff, let me ask you this question. Deebo Samuel ruled out. Does that change your opinion on this game? Because now you're looking at who? Brandon Ayuk as the number 1. You're looking at Juwan Jennings as the number 2. What's your thoughts on that?
I still like San Francisco. I tell you, the reason why also is, like I said, the Los Angeles Rams are not the same team that they were last year. They got the 31st in rushing offense, which is terrible. I mean, just Stafford alone. I did some real digging today, especially just for you guys who are watching the Better Sports Network. and this is a stat that probably a lot of people are not looking at, but Stafford through the first 6 games of the 2021 season, last season, he had only 4 interceptions and he was only sacked 6 times. This season, through 6 games, he has 8 interceptions and he sacked 22 times. I mean, that is a completely different mindset going into each game. It's a total difference. He is not, the intensity is not there. The team is not there. It just, they just haven't shown it. I can't really point to one game. I mean, maybe against Arizona that they really brought it, from last season.
Well, no, I agree with you. Look, they haven't used Allen Robinson correctly all year. They have no running game to speak of. Cam Akers is beyond frustrated. I mean, Kyron Williams is going to be the starter. It's a question of when. I mean, literally Tyler Higbee, who trips over the 1-yard line, is their number 2 weapon out there. But I think you're right. I think it's Matthew Stafford who just doesn't look right. And Kyle Shanahan always has the number of Sean McVay. But my question is this. Is there any prop bet you like? Is there any player in this game that you think is going to be something? Maybe you want to throw a little parlay down here, Jeff, so I could become your rich friend.
Well, tell me some definite prop bets that you're looking at, and I'll give me one that you like, and I'll tell you which side I'm on.
Well, is there any player in this game that I should be looking at carefully?
Well, I think Christian McCaffrey is definitely going to put on a show this game. I think it's going to be he was used sparingly last week against Kansas City. Obviously, Kansas City, I liked Kansas City in that game. I thought it was a big bounce back game for them. I didn't think Christian McCaffrey was going to be able to show what he could because he only got the playbook basically Friday before the game, which even if they simplified it for him, he would still be, kind of in the dark on specific plays. But I think this week he's had a better understanding of how San Francisco works. He's able to work with Jimmy G. I think he's going to have a very good, whatever they're, I'd be honest, whatever they're giving.
He's 61 and a half yards.
Total? Is that catch and run?
Rushing. I can find both for you.
I'd have to say on the if he's it depends. I'd have to say a little lower on the prop on the running, more on the catching.
Yeah. Okay. I would agree with that. All right. Are there any other games? Oh, I'll find it for us. While you talk about this next game. You know a lot about the New England Patriots. You called Bailey Zappi as the guy. I'm arguing in the second half, he didn't look like the guy. He didn't look like the guy against the Bears. He did at the end of the first half, but in the second half, he got zapped himself. Who's the quarterback for that team, and who's winning this game, and what's your bet?
Well, what I'm hearing so far is they're going back to Mac Jones. So, Mac Jones knows the offense and everything. I mean, I was talking to someone. Yeah, I was talking to Rick last week, and it was going between Zappi and Jones, and I compared it to Brady and Drew Bledsoe from 20 years ago. I think, look, Brady had a couple of bad games when he first started. It wasn't the end of wasn't at the end of his career, but he did show something. And Zappi said when they interviewed him, they said he came here to compete. He came here. This season is not done yet for both of them. It's a wait and see kind of thing. Belichick is a poker player. Even if he decides to go with Zappi, certainly not going to tell the press anything. He's going to wait it out. He's going to wait to the end of the practices. He's going to wait till Sunday morning. Both quarterbacks are always prepared because that's how Belichick rolls. You better be prepared. Otherwise, you're going to be in his doghouse. So they'll probably get the word. I mean, I'm thinking Mac Jones is going to play this game against the Jets. But to be honest with you, the New England Patriots, they own the Jets. I mean, the Jets are muchly improved this year, no question. They're playing better. But when you have it, as I always stress, a division game is a lot like playing somebody out of your division.
I couldn't agree more. By the way, Christian McCaffrey is 101 and a half total yards.
I would go over that. I think it's a safe bet to go over that.
So let's get back to New England and the Jets. Jets don't have Breece Hall Roto, my Roto child for this year. Do you like New England and lay the points in this one?
I like it's almost like a pick'em game. They're only laying 2 at the Jets. The last 12 games, I mean, Patriots, they're 12-0 and 8-4 against the spread. So you're talking about a dominance. It's not a quick, Belichick, he loves beating up the Jets. I mean, this is his like personal. He could go 1-16 in a season, or I'm sorry, 2-15 because the 17 game schedule. But if he beat the Jets both games, then it was a successful season because he ran away from the Jets when they made, what was he, like head coach for a day?
Yeah.
And he said, adios, I'm going to New England. I mean,
Jeff, when you do your analysis for a game, how much does previous history lay into your decision making?
It depends on if it's a divisional game, how many times they've seen each team. Is there some kind of revenge factor also in play? Because how did the team just play them last year? Did they knock them out of the playoffs? Did they beat them badly? There's certain in football, and I've talked to certain football players and ex-football players. There's a psychological factor when it comes to football because it's on the week, and you kind of think about the next game, and you think about what just happened the last week. I'll tell you something. I had a conversation once with Steve Young, and he had said the same thing, and I reaffirmed it with him that it's easier to get up for a game after a loss than it is to keep that winning feeling going. And I fed it back to him and everything. And he said, wow, this guy's listening to what I have to say. And he knows what he's saying. And that is definitely true in the NFL. The bounce back is very important in the NFL, and it plays on the players. And moving forward, if a team lost the week before, especially a good team, they bounce back. You have to look at, okay, they lost the previous week. They lost badly. They're going to bounce back. The good coaching, you look at coaching like Kansas City. When they lost against Buffalo, I knew they were going to bounce back against San Francisco. It was like, because that's what good teams do. They bounce back.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think New England's going to win this week. They were humiliated last week. That doesn't happen against the Jets. All right, let's talk about Chicago and Dallas, right? We saw Dallas kind of sleepwalk through that game against Detroit. We see Chicago played out of their minds in the second half against the Patriots. Is this a new Bears team, or is this a Bears team that's going to get smacked down by the Cowboys?
Well, I got to tell you something. The jury's still out on that one because you're right. Dallas did sleepwalk. They were the beneficiary of 5 turnovers by Detroit. And that's not going to happen, every week. That just happened Detroit had 4 turnovers on 4 straight possessions. Dallas took advantage of it. Okay, they won. They were a heavy favorite at home, but they were not playing the game that they should have played. They were lucky. Dak Prescott was rusty. And also, what I'm hearing right now is Zeke Elliott is going to be out on Sunday. So it's going to be Pollard alone in the backfield. Chicago really showed something on Monday night against New England. They did their rushing. They're a rush-heavy type of team. But I said in my analysis, New England knows this going forward. So if they stop the run and they put it all in field's shoulders, they should be able to take this game. Well, New England's defense was like absentee. I'm sure Belichick afterwards, he said, we didn't run right. We didn't defend right. He said what he had to say. We were terrible. And that was the end of the press conference, really. I mean, that's what he usually does. But I don't know. Jury's still out on Chicago. They beat a nice New England team that is still going through a few things with themselves. Chicago still has to stay the pace. Stay what you're strong with. They are the number 1 rushing offense in the NFL. They have to be successful at it. They can't have any turnovers against Dallas. They cannot have turnovers. Forget it. If they start having turnovers and Dallas turns them into points, you could turn the game off early. But I'll tell you something. The big spread, it's like a 10.5-point spread. I like Chicago to keep this close.
Really? All right. That's interesting because let me tell you something. Trayvon Diggs would cover Darnell Mooney for sure. And Dallas's defense is as good as I've seen in the league this year, Jeff, to be quite honest with you. And I don't think Dallas's offense could have played any worse than it did last week. And for my money, Tony Pollard is 10 times better than Zeke.
Zeke, I got to agree with you. Zeke is not the same guy that first came into the league. he's looking like, you know what? I signed my big contract. I'm going to relax a little. And that's the problem sometimes when you get, athletes who sign these big contracts. The intensity is not there as much as it used to be.
Same thing with radio hosts, Sign the big deal, and I got to bring it.
I would, when we're on the other side of this, I'll let you know.
All right, one more here for you. The Sunday night game, Green Bay against Buffalo. There's a big spread going on in that game. Buffalo has last week off. They come back. Green Bay looks like a mess. No Allen Lazard. Aaron Rodgers looks lethargic. What are you doing here?
This is like a tale of two teams. You got Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers, and it seems like nobody wants to play with him. You got an offensive line that is terrible. You got receivers. So he doesn't have as many toys that he can play with on his offense. And the offensive line is not doing the job for him. I actually liked Washington against Green Bay last week. Washington has always given Green Bay trouble. Green Bay, for some reason, they can't match up well against Washington. Washington could have nobody out there. For some odd reason, they were always in the game with them until the end, and they would take them down. It was crazy. I went back and looked at a lot of the games and a lot of the scores, and I'm like, I always knew that Washington was tough for Green Bay. But on the other side, you got Buffalo, who's like, they're on a mission. They are like possessed after that Kansas City loss in the playoffs last year. They're just rolling with it. This game on Sunday night, being in Buffalo, I think they're going to blow out Green Bay. The fans are going to be crazy. Every time Rodgers gets the ball, they're just going to go nuts. He's not going to be able to call the numbers. The players aren't going to be able to hit. There's going to be a lot of false starts. I like Buffalo in a blowout.
Yeah, I think I do too. All right, Jeff Cadillac. How does everybody out there find you, Jeff?
Well, you can find me. I have my own website. I do jeffcadillac.com. I do the games on there. You can find me on Twitter at JeffCadillac1, as you mentioned. I am also I do another show on Wednesday nights called the J&J Sports Express, Sideline Sports. I also write a few articles every week for sportskita.com on the betting section. So, hey, hopefully you can find me everywhere. And my best bet of the week is on Fridays at JeffCadillac1 on Twitter.
All right, there we have it. Jeff Cadillac, great to see you again, my friend, and good luck this week.
Thank you. And you have a good weekend too, Dr. Roto.
All right, take care. All right, we're going to take a little break. When we come back, we're answering your questions. We're breaking down the games. We're going to do it right after this.
Better Sports Live with Rick Kamla. That's 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 Pacific on Better Sports Network.
Andy Reid is the best current coach in the NFL. He's better than Belichick. Belichick has lost his way. He's better than Tomlin. He's better than Harbaugh. He's better than Shanahan. He's better than McCarthy down in Dallas. He's better than all of the gangster NFL coaches right now. Sean McDermott up in Buffalo, he's better than all these guys. Andy Reid is the greatest gangster that we have at head coach in the NFL right now. And I understand that you're saying, well, Belichick is the GOAT, Cam. How can that be true? Now you're bringing up old stuff. Bill Belichick can't draft anymore, okay? Talk to me. Nick Chubb, Sony Michel. Talk to me. DK Metcalf, Debo Samuel versus N'Keal Harry. Okay, talk to me. This dude has lost his way. Remember the year when he should have bottomed out and just tanked, but he couldn't, and he went and got Cam Newton, and they were a mediocre team, right? He's lost his way. And not that he can't coach up a good defense and that kind of thing, but overall, he's lost his way. Andy Reid's an absolute badass. They draft great. He's a great coach, makes the right decisions, when to go for it, when to kick, when to punt. The guy's the man.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com.
I hate the stupid unsportsmanlike conduct. As long as you're not disrespectful to the opponent, you should be allowed to celebrate.
How I used to say it, and to bring up, because now basketball's starting to bring up personal.
Oh, dude, it's even worse than basketball, isn't it?
So Dikembe Mutombo, who used to get teed up in the 2000s, the 90s, they didn't give a crap. 2000s, though, when they tightened up the rules, they used to tee him up more when he did the Dikembe finger wag. But they wouldn't tee him up if he did it to the crowd instead of looking at, like, Eton Thomas, like one time I remember, and doing it right to him, or when his back was turned, doing it right to him. If he did it to the crowd, they would never call it. And so that that makes me wonder if these players, while, yeah, they want to talk a little smack, maybe they should flex towards the crowd than at the player who they're standing over.
I guess.
I know
again,
it's soft, man.
It is soft.
Because you know what?
Like we're gonna give 15 yards for that,
bro. They think that, you know, want to know why they're paranoid? They think that's gonna turn into a fight.
See, I disagree with that. That's not gonna start a fight.
I agree with you. They don't agree with
It's
us.
one thing, okay, if you spit in someone's face or say something derogatory like about their family or something,
right?
Yeah, that can incite you. But if you're just like, yeah, I made that play, what? You know what I mean? Like, again, they know the rules. You got to know you're going to get flagged. You have to have discipline. But, like, I don't know. I have no problem with celebration as long as it's not disrespectful.
What's disrespectful? You know,
it's interpretation, and that's my problem. Watch, it's going to cost someone in a big playoff game, and that's when people are going to go crazy. There'll be a third down play. Someone makes a pass breakup, and they're in someone's face. They're going to throw a flag. It'll extend the drive. That team scores, wins the playoff game because of it. You need something drastic for it to really leave an imprint, and I hope that doesn't happen to my team.
Better Sports Network is betting, fantasy, collectibles. It's sports talk done better.
On call with Dr. Roto.
All right, we are back. On call with Dr. Roto. Friday night, a little before 8 o'clock. I've got the great Swami Odell Blocker joining us in hour number 2. We love the great Swami breaking down some DFS. I'm breaking down the games. I'm answering questions. Merce, by the way, what's up, Merce? I brought up your question about Kyron Williams earlier in the show. So he asked, is it time to drop Pitts? I'm 3-4 and I have Higbee and Njoku in my R spot. You know, you're killing me. I mean, obviously you're playing Higbee. That is the right move every week. You're playing Higbee. Do I want to be the guy who tells you to drop Kyle Pitts? No, I don't. But that said, he sucks. He's mid. You look up mediocre in the dictionary and you see a picture of Kyle Pitts. Now, do I think Kyle Pitts is a mediocre player? No. Do I think that Marcus Mariota is forcing him into being, and Arthur Smith are forcing him into mediocrity? Yes. But I'm trying to get W's. I'm trying to win. So I'm in a charity league that I've been in the last 3 years. I finished in the finals. I haven't won, but in the finals the last 2 years, I believe. And I like the league because it's for charity and that's important to me. I don't like the league. It's literally like a super flex league, but it's one or two quarterbacks, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, and 1 tight end. I like leagues that are deeper. So I said it's only 1 tight end. I take Kyle Pitts in round 3. My team has been garbage this year. Here I was thinking, what a genius move. I'll get the 1 tight end. Man, I could have gotten Pat Freiermuth 6 rounds later. My team has no chance. So I get the Pitts frustration. I'm frustrated, but I mean, what are we going to do? Work and grind ass, Rashid Shaheed. How is that not one of the coolest names ever? Rashid Shaheed. I mean, just poetry. Is he going to get in the box 3 weeks in a row? You will have to ask my friend Steve Renner. Steve Renner is the Saints whisperer. And he was the only guy in the history of mankind who wrote up Rashid Shaheed at thedailyambush.com. I kid you not. Steve is a Saints guy. He knows the Saints. Some people just know their teams. Do I think he's getting into the thing? No. I think it's Olave. I think, well, it depends. If Michael Thomas not playing, if Michael Thomas is not playing, maybe he is. But I do like Juwan Johnson a little bit. Juwan Johnson flashed last week. Kamara's still there. So I'll give Shaheed, I don't want to say a thumbs up. I'll give him like a, eh. All right, let's break down the Bears and Cowboys. There is one person in this game who you are playing. His name is Tony Pollard. We've been talking about Tony Pollard for the last couple of seasons now because the eyes don't lie. Tony Pollard looks 25 times faster than Ezekiel Elliott. This is the game that I want to see Tony Pollard play. Now, that being said, the Bears defense is pretty good. But I'm looking at the rushing and receiving yard, the prop bet here, And I want to find it because it's important to me. Why don't computers work when I want them to? Killing me. Let me see. I'll find it. Because I know I had mentioned to Dave Poland before that I think he's going over 100. I just want to see what the exact number is. I don't see it here listed, but I would think that Pollard is 70 yards rushing, 40 yards receiving. You're looking at about $110, and a good shot to get in the end zone, a real good shot to get in the end zone. Will I play CD Lamb? I won't feel great about it. Will I feel Dalton Schultz? I don't feel great. I don't really feel good about anybody else besides Tony Pollard in this game. I think this game is going to be really messy. This game, I mean, is a Dallas favored by 10. Doesn't this feel like 23-10? That we're seeing Brett Maher with 3 field goals, a Tony Pollard touchdown, and maybe a Dak to Dalton Schultz. And then in the other way, I'm seeing a field goal and maybe Montgomery, maybe garbage time. I don't know. Work and Grind asks, Van Jefferson coming back help out A-Rob produce? No. Allen Robinson has been open all year long. All year long. He is not the problem. The Rams' offensive line is the problem. Matthew Stafford's the problem. Allen Robinson's not the problem. Dude's been wide open. Van Jefferson just clutters the field even more. Allen Robinson's literally sitting there saying, dude, throw me the football. But they throw the ball at Cooper Kupp every time. I can't blame him. Cooper Kupp is the best player in the league. I ask you this question. You have the number 1 pick right now. We're starting over right now. Who are you taking number 1? Probably Cooper Kupp, right? Okay. Philly Mac says, start Cousins or pick up Carr or Goff. Cousins always plays better at home. Always. I don't dislike Carr this week. I mean, the Saints' pass defense has been wretched. I think Goff will be better than last week. I think he needs Amon-Ra St. Brown back dreadfully. I mean, he needs him back desperately. I'm not loving Cousins this week. It's a tough one for me. I think I like Goff. How do you beat the Miami Dolphins? You throw the football. If I will play Goff, if Philly Mac, if Swift is in, Hawkinson's in, Amon-Ra St. Brown's in, Reynolds is in. If those 4 guys are on the field, I will play Goff because I don't think he can screw it up if those guys are playing. I don't see it. It's too many weapons against a Miami pass defense, which has been too mediocre. Now, if any one of those guys are out, I'll move. Now, I want you guys to understand something. I'm going to give you a play right here, right now. I like Irv Smith this week. I like Irv Smith a lot this week. The Cardinals run the zone defense, and I don't think that this is a big Justin Jefferson week. Justin Jefferson slays man-to-man. He's good in zone. He's good. But usually in zone defenses, I tend to like Thielen more, and I really like Irv Smith more. And Irv Smith does better at home, and the Cardinals are terrible against tight ends. He's my under-the-radar play in that game. All right, Work and Grind says, if I like P.J. Walker, what do you think about the receivers not named DJ? I mean, literally, I don't. I did not wake up this morning thinking about Terrace Marshall or Shee Smith. I didn't. I think that P.J. Walker has eyes for DJ Moore. I think it's going to be Donta Foreman, DJ Moore. Donta Foreman, DJ Moore. Handoff, throw. That's what I'm seeing. Spy says, Doc, what do you think about Malik Willis this week? Look, I think Malik Willis has upside, but not necessarily this week. That said, the reason why is they could literally give the ball to Derrick Henry 34 times, and he could have 242 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns. I mean, the Texans' run defense is just as bad as I've ever seen. And I will say this. I was the one idiot who faded Josh Jacobs on FanDuel last week. I played him on DK. I faded him on FanDuel. Why? Game theory. I didn't want anybody who was 40% rostered. Okay, I'm just not doing that. First half, I looked like a genius because the first half, the Texans held him to 46 yards rushing. Then the second half, Josh McDaniels goes, why am I doing that? Let me just feed this guy every play. And they did. And the Texans defense couldn't handle it. You don't think Mike Vrabel knows this? You don't think Mike Vrabel, who's probably the most underrated coach in the NFL, is not going to give the ball to Derrick Henry 28 to 32 times? Dude's going to run all day long. All day long. I mean, if you're not playing him on FanDuel, I don't know how to help you. He's a must play. Figure the rest of your team out. You get Derrick Henry in there because the dude's running for 180 to 220 yards and 2 touchdowns. Same thing on DK. You got to have him. It's like a cheat code. So don't overthink it. So getting back to Spy's question, Malik Willis is going to run a little bit. But he's not a great thrower of the football. And you don't want this guy throwing more than 22 times. And you want him throwing a couple of deep passes, maybe to Westbrook. But for the most part, you want to throw him passes that he feels comfortable with. A couple of quick passes, but I don't see it. 11 for 22 for 140 yards and maybe 60 yards rushing. So what's that, 13 points? And yes, work and grind. Henry has caught more passes than I can remember too. It's looked pretty good. All right, the Elite says, thoughts on Hayden Hurst, thinking of starting him over Pitts. I have no problem with that. Look, I was shocked that Jamar Chase Roto was out for 6 weeks. I didn't see that coming. So, do we like T. Higgins? We love T. Higgins. Do we like Tyler Boyd? We love Tyler Boyd. I think Mike Thomas is incredibly overrated, but Hayden Hurst is not overrated. He's underrated. Hayden Hurst is a very good pass-catching tight end. He always has been. Always has been. Just hasn't been used properly over his career. He was a second-round pick out of the University of South Carolina, and he has been, if he was on eBay, you would call him gently used. I don't know why he wasn't used more often. I don't know. It's a little weird. It's a little weird to me. All right, let's keep breaking this down. Dolphins, Lions. Yeah, let's break this game down. Work and Grind says, Mike Thomas just not a route runner, slow. What's not to like? Look, here's what's not to like, okay? Before I get to this game. First of all, you got Joe Mixon. 1. Next, I'll put Joe Mixon here. 1. T. Higgins. Tyler Boyd. Hayden Hurst. Mike Thomas. Sorry, it's got a big hand, right? He's 5th, basically, catching the football. So what does that mean? 3 or 4 catches? 4 or 5 targets? It's not enough. That's a desperate play. Desperate. You're playing a Mike Thomas. You're praying. I want a guy who, like Paris Campbell last week, I thought could get bulk, more targets, more receptions. I'd rather a guy go 6 for 60 than 3 for 80. Because 3 for 80 means he's not seeing enough of the football. That's my worry about Mike Thomas. Mike Thomas is a Jag. And I'm not saying he's a Jaguar. He's just a guy. All right. Dolphins, Lions. Oh, my God. Do I like this game? Do I like him? Do I like this game? I love this game. Tua. Check. Mostert. Check, 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 check. Tyreek Hill. Check, 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 check. Jalen Waddle. Check. Gesicki, check. There's nothing I don't like about the Dolphins this week. If you're doing lineups in DFS and they don't begin and end with the Miami-Detroit game, I think you're going to be regretting that. I do. Over points, over props, over everything, work and grind, Lions, Dolphins. Just throw it on in there, baby. And here's what I'm loving about this game. I love this game for this reason. Jeff Cadillac mentioned it before. We see a game, and he said what Steve Young said. Guys like to bounce back in the NFL. It's harder to get that second win than it is to come back from a loss. But we see a game, and we see, oh man, the Lions sucked. 6 points. I'm not playing them. Okay, the Lions have been putting up points all year except for last week. And has Goff had all of his weapons in forever? No. So you think 6 points. I think upside because Swift, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Hawkinson, they're all back. I'll take my chance. And Work and Grind says it right here. Dallas's defense is absolutely the best in the league. Bar none. Seriously, bar none. So what am I not missing here? Miami stops the run. They can't stop the pass. How does this game not just explode? I'm all in on that. Can Okudah slow down Hill? Who can slow down Hill? Who? Tell me. The beautiful thing about their offense, it's play action. And Tua is accurate. He is accurate. Little fake to Mostert, comes back, sets up. Hill's already 3 yards past Okudah. As long as Tua can find him, that's a 70-yard touchdown right there. Are you telling me that Tua doesn't throw at least 2 touchdowns of over 40 yards this week? I can't imagine that. That's a bet I'd love to make. I don't know what the odds are on that bet. Find me the odds on that one. I'm taking the over. I'm taking the bet. And I love coming back with Amon-Ra St. Brown. I don't know if I'm coming back with Swift, but I'll come back, and I'm not coming back with Hawkinson, but I'm coming back with Amon-Ra St. Brown. I am. Nick Durr says, are people overreacting about Tony to the Chiefs? Yes and no, Nick. And what's going on? Hope you're doing well. Tony wasn't hurt. We all know Tony wasn't hurt. But can Tony learn a playbook? See, you give Christian McCaffrey a playbook on Friday. He's going out there on Sunday, and he's playing. I give Kadarius Toney a playbook. It's got 10 days. I'm not convinced he knows that playbook. Do you know why? Because Tony is just one of those fast guys who doesn't need the playbook. Throw him the ball, he figures it out. It's what he did at UF. They threw him 5-yard passes. The guy was twitchy, and he made some big plays. It's not like this guy was a crisp route runner. It's not like he was a technician. It's not like he was putting on Emmanuel Sanders, Stephon Diggs clinics and running routes. He was a guy you threw the ball 3 yards to, and he was really fast. Look, let me say this. Do you not trust Brian Daboll? Because I trust Brian Daboll. Dude has proven to be really good as a coach. Really good. There's something he didn't like about Kadarius Toney. So I trust that he knows what he doesn't like. Now, do I think that Toney could have helped the Giants be more explosive? Yes. Do I think he and Wan'Dale should have been great together? Yes. But Daboll didn't like him. Shane didn't like him. It was a non-starter. It was a non-starter. They hated him from the beginning. So what can I tell you there? I can tell you that that's how it went down. But Toney should at least be producing something for the Chiefs right away. Spy says, I'm somehow still alive in my survivor picks for the season. Any teams you like for this week? Well, I don't know who you haven't played, but I'll give you teams. I mean, how did the Cowboys lose that game? I mean, can the Cowboys lose to the Bears at home? I don't know about that. That one feels pretty good. I like the Patriots against the Jets. Patriots are not playing 2 bad games in a row, and the Jets have to go with Michael Carter and James Robinson. And they're not Breece Hall. I know Breece Hall Roto. They're not Breece Hall. I kind of like the Titans. I don't like on the road as much. So those are my two, the Patriots and the Cowboys. And of course, as Nick Durr said, the Fields can't complete more than 13 passes a game. It's true. All right, taking a timeout. I'm back. I'm breaking down, the Cardinals and Vikings right after this.
It's Moose and Keith with Mark Malusis and Keith Irizarry.
Moose and Keith with you. Let's welcome aboard right now, Iron Eagle. One of the great stories that I have from doing notes on a plane, and you always get people looking over. They see color-coded uniform numbers, names, height, weight, age, background, hometown. And I had a woman sitting next to me on a flight, and I'm doing my notes, and she's kind of giving the look, then looking. And I can tell she's looking. And then finally, she'll say, so what is it that you do? Well, what do you think I do? She said, are you a wedding planner? I said, yes. I said, I have to put Rob Gronkowski at Tom Brady's table. I said, you know what? You're not correct. but it's the best answer I've ever heard.
That's great.
Corey Nando and Friends, presented by Mayo Media.
As far as fantasy life, fantasy executive, it's going to be a football life. The fantasy executive is probably going to be the best football life ever.
Who will be the guest? Everyone who was on yesterday. Basically.
Yeah, everybody that's on yesterday will be the guest. Scott Engel, you know what I'm saying? Adam Ronis. Yeah, everybody, those people. Because what Nando, obviously you'll be there. You know what I'm saying? We'll go to the GST and shoot some scenes. You know what I'm saying?
That'd be nice.
We'll shoot some scenes in Midtown Manhattan. Antonio Brown can be on my football life,
That'd
right?
be nice.
Because that's a big part of my come up as a fantasy analyst. Everybody, the football life, the fantasy executive is going to be for the people. When they do the football life on the fantasy executive, I'm going to be hands on.
Good. Yeah. You talking to you.
Lunch Money with Kyle and Ray, presented by FantasyGuru.com.
Cheetos or Doritos?
I truly love both. Cool Ranch Doritos.
Wow.
I grew up on Cheetos. I was a big Chester Cheetah guy.
Oh, nice.
But Ray, as I have aged into adulthood, I've moved away from the fun that is the Cheeto, and I've gone to the, more cosmopolitan Cool Ranch Dorito chip. So I'm probably a Cool Ranch guy. How about you?
I would go Doritos. I don't like Cool Ranch. The traditional, original, regular, whatever it is really good. But my favorite's actually the sweet chili, the purple bag. Oh, delicious. It's fantastic.
Yeah, the one that sucks, and I think we can all agree on this one, taco.
Yeah.
I know a lot of things, and I'm perfect at a lot of things. My Dorito trivia is a little shaky.
Okay.
A little shaky, but I think taco is the first flavor.
On call with Dr. Roto.
Is it just me, or do you find Kyle and Ray talking about chips riveting? I don't know, me. I think I could listen to that for an hour. I could. They're great guys, and I think I could listen to that for a while. All right. Because it's just so random. I love that. I love random. Random is interesting. All right. Work and Grind says, I could parlay Tua, 2+ touchdowns and longest pass 40 yards for a plus 185. Can I tell you something about one of my weaknesses as a gambler? Now, this goes against what I said earlier in the show. Earlier in the show, I said, I don't need to be the guy who's making 27,000 bets. I just want to be making 1 or 2 and hit. That's all I want. But when I see plus 185 in my head, you know what I say? That's not enough money. Now, if you said, Doc, give me 100 and I'll give you back 185, that should be enough money, right? I just made money. But why do I want to see like plus 450? I'm just greedy like that. It's terrible. It really is terrible. I'm angry at myself for being that way. If I don't look at a bet and I go, it's like an anytime touchdown. If I only see it's like plus 140, I'm not playing. I want plus 380. I want plus 350. I want something worth my while. So then I'm picking Adam Troutman to get a touchdown instead of, Chris Olave. All right. Work and Grind says sweet chili Doritos are amazing. I have found a new chip. And I probably am spending too much on this chip. It is. But it's like this buffalo chip that's made out of chicken something or other. I don't know. It's made out of chicken broth or chicken something. I don't know. It's made out of chicken. But it's really good. I can eat that sucker all day. All right. Cardinals and Vikings. I broke this game down a little bit earlier. So talk to you about the Viking side. Cardinals play the zone defense. Kirk Cousins struggles against zone defenses. He eats up man-to-man. He eats it up. He's not good against zone defenses. The Cardinals are throwing out the zone defense there. Irv Smith, KJ Osborne do better against zone defense. Same with Thielen. Justin Jefferson slays man-to-man. So I like Justin Jefferson. Good, not great. Work and Grind, you're dead right. If Rondale Moore is in the slot, he'll be 5 for 60. Agree, but I love DeAndre Hopkins. Okay, let us not even question how much I like DeAndre Hopkins this week. Patrick Peterson, no way can this dude cover him. No way. The guy got 14 targets last week. Are you telling me he's not getting at least a dozen this week? He is. He absolutely is. All in on him. James Conner, not playing again another week. Packing his cat. So, Eno Benjamin, probably better off with Eno. Eno's looking spry. He is. He's looking spry. And I heard Jeff Ratcliffe this morning talking about Kyler Murray, how you can't watch the game, but then at the end of the game, you see good stats. Maybe so. I'm not playing Kyler. I refuse to play him in DFS. It's just not happening. But I will play Hopkins. All right. Raiders and Saints. Ooh, this is interesting. Saints are at home. Do I like the red rifle in this game? Maybe a smidge. Love me some Olave. This guy's really good. Love Kamara. I do like Derek Carr. I do like Devontae Adams. I do like Josh Jacobs. I think this game will be better than we think it will. I think will. I think the Raiders being road favorites scares me. Let's not underestimate the New Orleans Saints. Let's not underestimate them. They're still in this. I know they're 2-5, but they're still in this. If they win this game, they're no worse than the Buccaneers, right? But I do like Olave a ton and Kamara a ton. And Renfro is back. Kind of like Renfro. Don't love him, like him a little bit. Carr is interesting to me. He's under the radar this week. All right, Patriots and Jets. So let's break this down. Zach Wilson is at a very pivotal point right now because Elijah Moore is frustrated. Garrett Wilson is frustrated. You got weapons. The Jets have weapons, and they're winning games, but they're not winning them because of Zach Wilson. And I think if you are Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh, you need to be saying to yourself, is this the guy? Now, there are moments of clarity. There are moments when we see Zach Wilson and we're like, he's got something there. And then there are moments where you're like, oh my God, this guy's terrible. It's terrible. The difference between him and Daniel Jones is this. Daniel Jones is very coachable. He's not good. But if you tell him to roll out, he rolls out. You tell him to do a bootleg, he does a bootleg. He plays within himself. Zach Wilson sometimes tries to make the bigger play, and he's not ready to do that. In many ways, the Jets were better with Joe Flacco because he was a better passer. Zach Wilson may be a playmaker, but it's a guy who's an improvisational playmaker, which doesn't work in the NFL unless your name is Brett Favre or Steve Young or guys like that. And Zach Wilson's not named that. So I don't like what I'm seeing there. Now, Breece Hall, sadly out. Sad. I do like Michael Carter. Michael Carter is 12 for 50 rushing with 4 catches for 50 yards. So what did I just give you there? 14 points. If he finds the end zone, you have 20. What I really like about him, and let me see if I can find this, and I apologize because I want to give you the most accurate thing I can. One moment, please. Why does this not go as quickly as I want? Okay. Let me just put something in here. Create lineup. Okay, running back. Michael Carter on DK is at 5,900. Eno is at 6,000. Mostert's at 5,900. I could drop down and get Najee at 57. Who in their right mind? Foreman's at 53. Who in their right mind is playing Michael Carter at 59? No one. But let me go back to this again. 12 for 50 is 5 points. 4 for 50 is 9. 9 plus 5 is 14. If he finds the end zone, he's at 20 points. And he just gave you 4x. I mean, not 4x, but he gave you 3x. Not bad. Not bad. We don't appreciate that enough. Do I like James Robinson? I do. Is James Robinson going to get about 10 yards for 40? Yes. Is he going to get about 1 or 2 catches for 12 yards? Yes. But that being said, Patriots are winning this game. Patriots were embarrassed. They were embarrassed. I really like Mac Jones. And if Bill Belichick doesn't, let me guarantee you that Mac Jones will get traded and be a starting quarterback in the NFL for the next 5 to 7 years. Mac Jones is a winner. Mac Jones won last year as a rookie. And Belichick has never let this guy do what he wants to do. Mac Jones ran that Alabama offense to perfection. He knew the playbook backwards and forwards. He knew it last year. But there were games where Belichick threw the ball 7 times. You want to play Bailey Zappi? Go ahead. Go move Mac Jones to another team and put Mac Jones on Tampa? Oh, baby. Kyle Trask who? When Tom Brady retires? Come on. I love Ramondre Stevenson. I wish I had him in every league. I don't have him enough. I don't. My man Replay Reel, what's up, dude? He says Jacoby Myers, Judy, Wandale, or Pickens. I will go with Wandale and Myers. I like Pickens, but that's a tough matchup against that secondary. Judy. I just don't know. I like Cortland Sutton. Wandale and Jacoby Myers feel like they're guaranteed like 11 to 12 points, where Pickens and Judy could be more, but they could be less. So let's break down the Steelers and Eagles. Steelers and Eagles. How did the Eagles lose this game? Here's how the Eagles lose this game. When the betting public is too heavy on the Eagles, the Steelers win this game. Right? Oh, by the way, Spy. He says, I'll pivot from Miami and pick New England for sure. Detroit can win that game, dude. Detroit can win that game. That's a scary game for me. But I'm not telling you to bet the Steelers. I'm just telling you that game will be a lot closer than you think. When it is so obvious, I call this the water fountain play. I call this the secretarial pool play. I call this the grandma play. When your grandma and everybody at the secretarial pool and the water fountain and everybody else at the water fountain who works is there knows that the Eagles are going to win. That's when all of a sudden they don't. It was almost like when Pittsburgh beat the Buccaneers and everybody's like, huh? Or Carolina, huh? And this week, if it's the Steelers, huh? We didn't see it coming. That's when the NFL gets you. When you're not paying attention, that's when the NFL smacks you in the head. Assuming that doesn't happen, I love Jalen Hurts this week. I love A.J. Brown this week. I love Devonta Smith this week. Those are the guys who are in play, for sure. Do I love Najee Harris? No. I always like Pickens because he is a tremendously talented guy. And more importantly, Kenny Pickett likes Pickens. I really like Patty Fry. The Eagles, as we all know, not great against opposing tight ends. I like Patty Fry a lot. He's just there. He's that guy who's worth, 14 points a week. I have him in the silver bullet. I wish I had him in more leagues. He's solid as a rock. Really like him. All right. Titans and Texans. We talked about this, but I'm going to give you 2 other plays in this game. 1, we all know Derrick Henry. God, we know that one. 1, Brandon Cooks. Every wide receiver does well against the Titans. And Cooks should fit that bill. And he fits that bill for a couple of reasons. 1, I think that the Texans might want to trade him. If you are, you're showcasing him. He goes from a 4th-round pick to a 3rd-round pick if he goes for 100 yards and 8 catches. So, this is a real shot that Brandon Cooks could be good this week because the Titans secondary is slow and Brandon Cooks is not. So I do like him. I like a kid named Chris Moore. I do. Chris Moore, very sneaky last week. Nico Collins, not good. And I'm going to give you one other guy, just in case. Keep your eyeballs on Brevin Jordan. Brevin Jordan, finally back. He was a guy that I was eyeing all preseason, and then I drafted him in a bunch, and he's been hurt all year long. I do like Brevin Jordan a little bit. Cooks is listed as questionable. What's up with that? He'll play replay. I believe he'll play. Davis Mills, Russell, or Jimmy G. Jimmy G? I mean, I don't know about Russell. I can't endorse Russell Wilson. I can't. Davis Mills, they just don't throw it enough. They don't throw it enough. It's a problem. They're playing not to lose. You can't play in the NFL and throw the ball 30 times and expect to win. It just doesn't happen unless you're Geno Smith. So Jimmy G, I think, will be fine. The Elite says Tua, a good trade target. Yeah, I think he's real good. I think Mike McDaniel has shown he's a really good coach. The offense has been very inventive. They've got a lot of weapons. As long as Tua stays on the field, he's great. And let me say this. I don't think you're winning anymore with Dak Prescott. How about that? I believe that Mike McCarthy has changed this team, not for the better. I believe Sean Payton should be the coach. I believe this is a defense-first team. They want to run the football, and they do not want to be a prolific passing offense because Dak is not a prolific passer. He's 240 to 250 yards. He's a 1 to 2 touchdown guy. That's who Dak is. And if they feel if they can get Dak to do that, and they could score a rushing touchdown, maybe get 2 or 3 field goals, score about 20 to 23 points, they should win most games with that defense. Facts. That feels very accurate to me. It does. But I do believe Cooks plays at the last second. If he doesn't, then you're definitely playing Chris Moore. I'm going to play a lot of Moore because I want to get Derrick Henry into every lineup I can. And so sometimes I like to correlate players. So right now, a couple of correlations that I'm running through my brains. DeAndre Hopkins with a little Irv Smith, a little Derrick Henry with a little Chris Moore. That's what I'm looking at right now. Not sure if I'm going to – that's where I am Friday. Talk to me Saturday night at 3 a.m. because that's when everything comes together. It's like a wild frenzy in my brain until all of a sudden the pieces just start – it's like a Rubik's Cube. Start putting it together quickly. Right? Right now, I see the colors all over the place. And then by Saturday night, done. 6 moves. All right. I'm going to take a little time out, I think. And you know, when I come back, I got my man, the great Swami, Odell Blocker. He and I haven't spoken. I don't even know who he likes yet, but I know I want to know who he likes because he's a really good DFS player. He's on our video, the Friday Night Lights video with me, him, and Willie Walls, which we'll be doing tomorrow. So I'm excited about it. Let's take a little time out. We come back. Odell Blocker joins us right after this.
Network. Collectible moments.
Everybody up here at U.S. Cellular. Sox 5 runs, 6 hits. The 2-1 to Bartlett. Swing, shot to short. Ramirez has it, throws. Bartlett picks the perfect game. His second no-hitter. People going crazy here at U.S. Cellular. He's mobbed by his teammates. A perfecto.
Now there's a steal by Bird. Underneath the DJ, lays it in. Right up, 1 second left. What a play by Bird. Bird stole the impounding pass. Laid it up to DJ. DJ laid it up and in. And Boston has a 1-point lead with 1 second left.
Out of the I formation on first down. Peterson to carry, looking for running room on the right side, has it to the 25, across the 30, across the 35, and out of bounds at the 40-yard line. Adrian Peterson has just gone over 2,000 yards for the season, the 7th man in NFL history to cross the 2,000-yard mark.
Well, a thundering ovation for number 66, Mario Lemieux.
Just the emotion I'm sure Mario is feeling in this place. You don't appreciate something until it's gone, and it's so great to have Mario back.
Yager turns around. Over to Lemieux. Mario Lemieux, his first goal in his comeback here tonight at the Mellon Arena. And the Penguins lead 3-0, and he is smiling like a butcher's dog. Mario Lemieux.
Oh, the band is out on the field. He's going to go into the end zone. The Bears have scored, but the Bands are out on the field.
Pearson moves in front of the STP Dodge. Petty comes back to the inside. They almost touch as they move down low in the banking. They're going to be side by side as they exit the bank and head for the finish line.
Richard Petty goes back in front. They both spin. They're in the wall. Petty is sliding
slamming into the wall. He's coming down toward the finish line. Will he make it? Pearson is still running. The winner is car number 21. An amazing finish. Richard Petty's car demolished in the front end, as well as car number 21. An unbelievable finish, a terrible crash. David Pearson has won the Daytona 500. Leitner catches, comes down, dribbles, shoots, scores! Christian Leitner has hit the bucket at the buzzer! Pitched by Downey, swinging, there's a drive into left center field. That ball is going to be out of here. It's gone. It's 7:15. There's a new home run champion of all time, and it's Henry Aaron.
The most valuable player is Magic Johnson. 42 points, 15 rebounds, and 7 assists. He starts at center, plays forward and guard, and leads the Los Angeles Lakers to a world championship 123-107 over Philadelphia.
Whether you collect sports memorabilia, fantasy championships, or winning bet slips, talk about it on Bettor Sports Network.
On call with Dr. Roto.
All right, back with you here. Hopefully we will have the great Swami on any second to break it down with him, to break down the Zen. He does Zen Master DFS article at drroto.com. He does. So let's see. I have no idea. I hadn't taken a look at it yet. Yes. First name I see here is Jalen Hurts. Always off to a good start when your first player is Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts this week, if I have to predict. Yeah. Oh, look at that. Interesting. He had Andy Dalton too. I want to talk to him about that. I didn't even know he had Andy Dalton. But Jalen Hurts is going to have 210 yards passing. And then he's going to have 50 to 60 yards rushing. He's going to have 1 passing touchdown and 1 rushing touchdown. But you know who I have now? The man himself. The great Swami Odell Blocker. What's up, dude? How are you?
Doc. Glad to be here. Happy Friday.
I know. I was just going through the Zen Master DFS article, and I mentioned all the plays at quarterback that I like. But you have Andy Dalton here, and I think that is super sneaky because I think the Saints might actually win this game. They played so poorly last week. Vegas looks so good, but to Vegas to go on the road to beat the Saints at home, and Andy Dalton might be supremely underrated.
I think so. And not only is this probably a good spot, they coming off a game where a lot of times people forget that it was a couple of turnovers in there, a couple of plays that didn't go his way. He was on the verge of a much bigger, much better game last week. A turnover in the end zone, off his receiver hands, another one that went off his receiver hands that stopped another drive that could have led to some points. So I really like the spot that he's in. I think the Saints do as well, and that's why they're going back with him again this week, even though I think everybody is healthy. And so for that reason, at home in that dome, you got to like him, Doc. He's interesting.
I know he's interesting. So do I stack him with Kamara and Olave? Do I do a little Olave and Juwan Johnson? What do I do? Or do I just can I run a naked Andy Dalton? As scary as that sounds, he's super cheap.
Negative. There's no naked Andy Dalton. Just close your eyes.
I'll get that out. I get that vision out of my mind.
It is absolutely, at least with Olave, I really like the leverage play with Kamara. I think he's due as well. And this is a good spot for all of them.
All right, I'm with you on that. Okay, it's screaming to me, play the Dolphin-Lion game. Play the Dolphin-Lion game. Don't be an idiot. Play the Dolphin-Lion game. Are you playing the Dolphin-Lion game?
I always respect Vegas. They like this game a lot. And so for that reason, I have to look at it, Doc. Like I said, even there, I think the speed of the Dolphins may show up in the dome, right? Typically, those teams play a little bit faster on the carpet or the fake grass, whatever we call it these days. But you have to like them. And Tua looked okay. He wasn't as rusty as we thought he might be coming back. I still think he kind of He took some hits that he shouldn't have took, but Tua, that's enough. You're a big fan of the Friday Night Lights show. He told me himself that he listens to us, and he's going to make sure that he's sliding from now on. But anyway, Doc, I like the Dolphins side of it a lot, and I think if Brown comes back, it definitely gives us something that we need to look back, because with him and Swift in that offense, they look like a different team.
They do, right? Is there any chance that the Lions pull off this upset? Because Miami is weak against the pass. I'm expecting Swift back, St. Brown back, Hawkinson there, Reynolds there. They will have all their weapons. This is a game that I'm smelling 60 points.
It smells like that, Doc. And when a team is at home and they have a chance to win, stranger things have happened. I think this one could be one of those games where whoever has the ball last. It's not like this is just a clear-cut, blowout. No, this is going to probably be a game where maybe the Dolphins get out early and then Detroit just kind of, start getting it going a little bit later. Or imagine if they jump out early and we get that fantasy goodness.
Oh my God! We get the game against the Ravens where Miami just went crazy at the end, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think I'm going to have like 3 teams: one team with Tua, one team with Goff, and one team with Sam Ellinger. What about that?
Interesting.
$4,000. 4,000, Swami.
You can't be 4,000, especially because he is what I would consider a scrambler. He's a guy that kind of loves to take off. He'll sit in the pocket. That first read isn't there. I don't think he's making it to the 4th read. He's getting out the pocket. If something comes open, sure. If not, I think he's going to run first when he get outside the pocket. For somebody that's 4,000, you got to like it, especially if they can get in the red zone.
Think of it this way. Let's say he throws for 200 yards and 1 touchdown, and he runs for 50 yards. So I gave you 10, 14, 19 points at $4,000.
I love it. I think he's in one of those spots where I think he deserves to be in one of your 3 lineups because of that price. 4,000 alone. That's like they got defenses that cost more than that, Doc.
Right. Most insulting.
Right. So,
but would I be better off doing a Dalton instead? Because Dalton's going to be literally 2% rostered, while Ellinger could be 15% or 10%.
I think so. And not only that, Dalton has the ceiling, right? We know somebody who can throw for 4 and 5 touchdowns. This is Mr. Andy Dalton, right? He's been in this league for a while versus, again, this second year, 6th round, first start that we got in Mr. Sam out here. But again, at that price, I do like, and just imagine this. Imagine if he runs for that 50, and instead of throwing for a touchdown, he runs for 2.
Oh, now you got Taysom Hill.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, there's nobody who loves Taysom. Honestly, if Taysom Hill was a starting quarterback, I would play him in DFS every single week.
And rightfully so. And just think about this. Taylor is still on that team. Pittman is still on that team. They've been getting contributions from the tight ends as well as from Campbell and other guys. If he can just come in and get them the ball, he could have a pretty nice game. Sam's in a good spot.
He is in a good spot. So I just mentioned I would play Taysom Hill every week. If I use that reasoning, why wouldn't I play Jalen Hurts every week?
I think the only thing that would stop you is maybe a week like this week where there's such a huge favorite that will he have the attempts? Will they even need to play competitive football in the second half, or will this game be decided and they're just kind of coasting, give us a couple of long drives, and then we're seeing Sanders or Brown or Gainwell or somebody else running the ball in, closing it out. That's the only if here.
Is Derrick Henry etched into my lineups this week?
I like his DraftKings price, even though that's high as well. That $10K on FanDuel is a little bit tougher. But because of the 30 touches that he got last week, and what I think will be 30 touches again this week, and last week he didn't get in the end zone, and I still like it. I think this week he could get in the end zone twice, especially after what Jacobs just did. So to me, I have to. I have to almost ignore the price here, and I think that I have to consider Henry. Absolutely.
If Henry gets you 20, it's not enough. Is that fair to say? If Henry gets 20, it's not enough.
I agree. I think I'm looking at 30.
Right, but if Henry gets 30, you better have him on your team or you're going to lose money.
I think so.
Is that fair to say?
Yes.
So
you can count on him. He's going to get his touches. Without question, they're going to lean on him.
Right, but in my head, I'm saying if he gets 20, I could have found somebody else who's going to get 18, and I could save the money. But if he gets 30, nobody has the ceiling, because if he gets 150 yards, right, I'm getting 15 points there, plus I'm getting the bonus. I find 2 touchdowns there. He hit 30.
And that's what I'm putting them on this week. I'm projecting them for something like that. I mean, they couldn't stop the Raiders last week. Couldn't stop. It's going to be very similar.
It's funny, first half, Jacobs only had 46 yards. In the second half, he had 46 yards in the first drive.
Right, they just keep wearing him down. The next thing you know, they busted out long runs. And that's Henry's style. That sets up perfect for him.
It does. All right. What about the Giant game there? What about Saquon? Do we want to play Saquon, or is he too expensive in a game that could be low scoring?
He's too close to Henry. I would agree on probably both sides. But if we just, not looking at price right now, and we just saying, how do we like him in this game? Season long, I think he's in a great spot. I mean, Seattle, they definitely have some holes on that front seven that he's going to probably exploit. And the way the Giants are playing and running the ball, he's probably going to get 25 touches. And so I'm not mad at that. But if I'm picking, I don't think you can play them both. Like, I don't know if you can fit both of them into a lineup, I should say. You can play them both, but it'd be tough to fit both of them in there and fill out the rest of your roster with guys who I think are going to be able to have enough skill and take down the slate as well.
That's true. Let's talk about the Viking-Cardinal game, because I think if there's a game besides the Dolphins-Lions that's sneaky, I think it's the Cardinals-Vikings.
Very sneaky.
Right? Would you agree with that? But I don't know whether it's the obvious plays. I don't know whether this is a Jefferson week. But is it a Hopkins week? Is it a Rondell Moore week? Is it a Thielen week? Is it a Irv Smith week? Who are you liking from this game?
Because strangely enough, I think a lot of time we've overlooked this Arizona defense. They've actually played well, especially over the last 4 weeks. But Jefferson is what we're calling, he's in beast mode, right? For receivers, he's in beast mode. And I think this is the kind of game at home that he has to show up. I don't know how they would be able to stop him. With that being said, I kind of agree with you. So if we were looking for somebody that everybody isn't looking at, is this an Irv Smith week? Is he in a good spot based on the matchup that he has? And I think so. So if I'm not going with Jefferson, I think Mr. Smith is the piece that I would want from the Minnesota side. On the other side, it might be the tight end as well. But I'm sorry, Doc.
Oh, you like Zach Ertz more than Hopkins or Rondell Moore?
Not more than Hopkins because of Hopkins' ceiling, but Ertz consistently getting 8 to 10 targets is just hard to ignore. Even though his price is kind of creeping up, he's still, viable. And at some point, he's going to get in the end zone. At some point, one of these days.
Okay, but let's talk about that. I love Hopkins, okay? I love him.
Oh, yeah.
Let's say he goes 9 for 90. No, I'll go more. 10 for 100. He gets the bonus. He doesn't score a lot. So he gets 10 for 100, and he gets the bonus. Is that enough, or do we need touchdowns? Or on DK, is what he's going to give me enough without the touchdown?
I'll take that 23, 24 points without the touchdowns from him at that price this week. Because this week is a very interesting week as far as receivers that can actually, give you that big game. It's not like, some weeks we see where there's a lot of kind of mid-range stuff going on, but with injuries and a bye week and stuff like that, it's starting to catch up to us a little bit. So if you told me that Hopkins was going to do anything like 10 catches and go over 100, I'll take my chances of maybe him getting into the end zone on some type of wide receiver fade or him breaking it.
All right, I'm going to give you a couple of running back names, and you just tell me whether they must be in our lineups or not.
Okay.
Is Raheem Mostert a must start?
If he's healthy, I like him. I don't know about must start, but I like him if he's healthy. Yes.
Is Tony Pollard a must?
If Zeke is out, which they're saying he's not playing, yes, lock.
Even though the Bears are a respectable defense, I still think the guy goes for 100 all-purpose yards.
I think so. And the Bears have been getting touched up by running backs consistently. All right. So I think I would like to see Pollard. We've all been waiting for him to kind of take it over or at least get an opportunity. And if Zeke's out this week, he's going to have just that, and they're in a good spot.
All right, you know I always ask this on Friday Night Lights. I'll do a sneak preview. I give you $100. You get to put it on your favorite stack. What stack is it?
Doc, I've been going back and forth with this. We've already talked about Andy Dalton. I like that a lot. We didn't talk about Kyler Murray, but I'm also interested there. But my favorite stack right now might be Ertz, Sanders, and Brown. Maybe Smith. Ertz, Sanders, Smith.
Really? No A.J. Brown?
It's only because you know what we're looking for there, Doc. I love Brown, but we're looking for something there to kind of give us some leverage. And so I'm interested in Smith as well, but Brown is obviously the guy.
All right, before I let you go, do you think we look too much for leverage? I mean, are we like searching for leverage and we over-leverage ourselves?
You know how we say good chalk, right? There's some bad chalk. Sometimes I think it's good leverage, and then I think it's bad leverage. And what I mean by good leverage is if we think that other player, right, Gabe Davis, if we feel like that's his week, then I think that could be considered good leverage versus going with maybe Diggs, who might cost $2,000 more that week. It's not a hard rule, but just that week. And so if we're talking about maybe not playing A.J. Brown, but somebody like Smith, who we know is a home run hitter, right? I don't know if that's as bad as what some of those other plays are. Like, hey, I'm a not play Hopkins and I'm gonna play Green. Green, I love you, but he's past his prime. I think that's bad leverage right there. So that's how I look at that, Doc. Yeah, I think that's bad.
All right, before we let you go, it's now Monday, and people who've watched this show, I want them to say, Swami said this on Friday, and he was right. Give me what Swami says.
Doc, I like it. I think Swami says this week is that you're going to have to probably pay up at receiver. I think the last couple of weeks we were able to get these running backs around 6,000 that were in great spots. But I think this week it's probably going to be hard to not pay up at back, but you're going to have to figure out a way to pay up at maybe one and then put in those receivers that we know can do it. Because you got Kupp. Obviously, he had, 19 targets or something the last game against them. This is set up to be very similar. Debo out. I don't know how that might change things. We didn't talk about that. But, again, you already mentioned the fact that you got Jefferson in a good spot. You got Hopkins right there. I think I still like a healthy Adams this week. It's might be one of my top plays. So that's why I said you got to figure out a way to pay up and then go with some of those running backs who we're not really sure what might happen, like a Robinson, like a Foreman, but we have to take a shot there, I think, this week. So Swami said that. Pay up at receiver this week.
All right, there you have it. My man, Odell Blocker, the great Swami. Appreciate you, my friend.
Thanks, Doc.
All right. Going to take a quick time out. When we come back, we are wrapping this show up. It's On Call with Dr. Roto on the Bettor Sports Network, and we're back right after this.
Picks, your fantasy teams, and your sports collectibles on Bettor Sports Network.
By the way, if you are a commissioner out there, if someone does not pay, that's on you at the end of the day. It sucks. That's why you have to get the money early, because if they don't pay, it's on you. You don't change the prize. A winner shouldn't be impacted because unfortunately you messed up as commissioner. And I've been caught with this before. I've made this mistake. It sucks, and I had to go out of pocket for it. You learn that maybe some of your friends should not be in that league. But Roan, we see it all the time with commissioner issues, and I can't stress it enough that when it comes down to league payment, It's on the commissioner if they don't have everybody's entry fee and someone decides to ghost them.
Yeah, I had to collect 36 entry fees this year. All of them were collected except one. And it was one of my friends who said he was going to pay the second. I forgot to remind him. He might even be listening, but I know he's going to pay. If not, I know where he lives. But nah, he'll pay. But yeah, I mean,
Big Brother Adam Rodas over here.
And even the guy that I've talked about before that usually always pays me at the end, he actually paid on time this time. He usually is like, I'll pay you on Friday, and then it doesn't come, and then it's 4 months later. And he always winds up paying. That's why I don't really get upset. But you've seen my emails. I don't play around. Like, this is the date. This is the date. You get it in by then. And I always, too, I'm like, the draft order will be determined when everyone pays. Right. So don't hit me up about the draft order. Once everyone pays, then the draft order will be done. And anyone who's been in this league, now Fetsy can't attest to this because he's never won money in my league, but the people who do win, they get it right away. Usually the next day or two. Just make sure the scoring, especially with football, no scoring changes, as long as it's not like a point victory, half a point, and then they'll get the money right away.
What about 2 points?
Yeah, I mean, wait it out just in case something crazy happens. I guess I don't wait till Thursday when the official scoring happens.
Yeah, man. I mean, a championship that I was in years ago got reversed, and I ended up winning on a Thursday stat correction.
Yeah, that kind of sucks. You hope it doesn't come down to that. If you're on the better end of that, it's great. But man, imagine thinking you won, you got the money, and then it changes. That's tough.
Make bets and follow your fantasy team while you buy, sell, and trade collectibles in real time. Only on Bettor Sports Network.
On call with Dr. Roto.
All right, we are back. Let's see. What my last few minutes here? What games I have not touched upon? All right, I got 4 more games I have to touch upon. Commanders and the Colts. Who do I like in this game? I like Jonathan Taylor. I like Michael Pittman. I think Erlinger is better than that. Well, no. Like I said on Tuesday night, I think Frank Reich did the right thing. Matt Ryan, if you give him an offensive line and you give him a running game, he doesn't suck. They didn't give him an offensive line. They didn't give him a running game. What are you going to do? Guy got hurt. Now, doesn't matter how they do. They don't care if they lose. But I do like Pittman. Usually rookie or young quarterbacks go to their first reads. And Pittman should be the first read. For the Commanders, I mean, I kind of like McLaurin, but not a lot. Kind of like Curtis Samuel, but not a lot. Brian Robinson, I'm okay with. I don't like Melvin Gordon at all. Jerry Jeudy is fine. But I think I do like Brian Robinson a little bit. But Shaquille Leonard will be back. The Colts defense will have the best player. I don't want to say he's the best player. He's pretty darn good. Shaquille, don't call me Darius Leonard, is a real great player. And he has not played at all. So it'll be interesting to see what it looks like with him back. All right, the 49ers and Rams. I know Jeff Cadillac loved the 49ers. I like the 49ers. I love to see what Christian McCaffrey is going to be doing with Kyle Shanahan. I think that Deebo Samuel is out, so Brandon Ayuk is in. Juwan Jennings is interesting to me. This is a guy that nobody ever likes. I like this guy. He's a very good player. I just don't know how involved he's going to be on offense because you have McCaffrey, you have Ayuk, you have Kittle, but I do like Jennings. For the Rams, Cooper Kupp. I'm not loving Henderson. I want to tell you that I like Allen Robinson, but it's hard to tell you that. I like Tyler Higbee. I want to see Kyron Williams, but it's probably going to be another week. And then I'm going to want to see a lot of him. Now, it was on Twitter, and people are like, oh, he runs a 4.65. Didn't Jerry Rice run a 4.6? Didn't Steve Largent run a 4.6? Am I saying that Kyron is going to be Steve Largent or Jerry Rice? No, I didn't say that. What I said was this. There's game speed and there's clock watching speed. Jerry Rice ran a 4.6 on the watch. Did anybody ever tackle him in the NFL? No. Steve Largent ran 4.6. Did anybody ever tackle him from behind? Rarely. There's game speed. So don't get so caught up in, oh, he's not fast enough. Oh, not fast enough. He's fast enough. Trust me, he's fast enough. How many running backs break off on this big plays? How many? Not many. Breece Hall did. Does Devin Singletary? Does he break off a 50-yard run? Most guys don't. Most guys go 20 yards before they get caught. Isai asked, what's my Twitter? At Dr. Roto, DRROTO. All right, Packers and Bills. Look, I talk a lot about pathways. What's the pathway to success? I don't see the pathway to the Packers winning this game. I just don't see it. Maybe I could have seen it at home with the crowd, but Josh Allen is a man on a mission. Sean McDermott is a really good coach. Adding Von Miller was sensational. The Packers just don't have the weapons. The one thing I'll tell you, if the Buffalo Bills have a weakness, I am going to give you I believe it's kickboxer, right? No, it's not kickboxer. Blood sport. It's my blood sport reference. It's one of my favorite Van Damme movies. Chong Li. Chong Li was this killer, this Korean killer, but he was sweet in the gut. If the Bills have a weakness, it's their run defense, because their pass defense is real good. So if Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon can run the ball, maybe this game stays close. If they can, it's over. Stephon Diggs scoring, Gabe Davis scoring, Dawson Knox scoring, Isaiah McKenzie scoring, Devin Singletary scoring. Watch James Cook. Watch James Cook. They're going to get him involved. I promise you that. He's going to start getting involved this week. I'm feeling it. All right. Bengals and Browns. Oh, man, I'm so sorry about Jamar Chase Roto. I'm so sorry about him. But we talked about this earlier. I love T. Higgins. T. Higgins is the number one receiver on any other team. I like Tyler Boyd just fine. I like Hayden Hurst just fine. I like Joe Mixon. I don't love Joe Mixon, but I like him. And P. Ryan is there too. And no, Philly Mac, you can't flex James Cook. It's just a feeling. And it's going to be that one where we can flex him starting next week, hopefully if things go right. But not right now. But yes, soon. For the Browns, they're playing at home. When they're at home, Amari Cooper likes being at home. Amari Cooper doesn't like going on the road. He doesn't like the Comfort Inn. He doesn't like Holiday Inn. He likes to be at home. So if anybody has a game, I think it's going to be Nick Chubb, and I think it's going to be Amari Cooper. Okay? But right now it's time to put away the insurance cards, put away the copay. The office is closed, my friends. I want to thank my friends Tyler and Anthony for helping out today. We did this on the fly, and we did it pretty darn well. All right. Appreciate you guys listening. Check me out at drroto.com. We've got all sorts of great things going on there. Seasonal, DFS, prop betting, whatever you need. All right. Good luck this week. I'll be back on Tuesday to talk waivers. This is Dr. Roto saying be well and take care.